Hi, welcome to one of the most potent lessons for Feld. For most of this lesson, I'll be guiding you. The movements are almost essential and kind of personal, so I might let you go through your own experience with much of this. So if you don't have water with you, go ahead and grab water now because we'll need that for our lesson. And if you're going to get water, funny story, I had no cups this morning, so whenever you come back, and feel free to pause, we're just gonna take a moment to drink a sip of water. So you're gonna just take a sip of water. And as you do, begin to feel how the water is interacting with the inside of your mouth and the palate of the mouth and the tongue. So you may drink more water to see how that water, does it touch the palate? Does it touch your tongue? What parts of the inside of your mouth feel the water? And then if you need to take another sip, go ahead and notice how it feels as it goes down your throat. What is the sensation of water down your throat? Are there places where it's wider and places where it's more narrow? Notice what you notice. And then feel what the stomach feels like when you're swallowing. So if you need one more sip of water, go ahead. You're gonna wanna feel what your stomach feels like when you swallow water. Is there a connection there? So see what you notice. And then we'll start with the scan on the back. So go ahead and lie down. Maybe place your water to the side. We're gonna be on the back and stomach for this lesson. Once you arrive on the back, begin to feel the space between your eyebrows. And bring your attention now to the middle of the tip of your nose. The middle of the tip of the nose. Bring your attention now to the middle of your chin. And now the middle of the clavicles, the clavicular notch, right in the middle of your two clavicles. And then notice at this point, does it line up with the middle of the chin and the middle of the tip of the nose and the middle of the eyebrows from the clavicles? And then notice the middle of your sternum. Notice your xiphoid process. So notice right around the ribs, where the ribs meet in the front. And then feel the middle of your navel. Feel the middle of the genitals. And feel the place between the genitals and the sacrum. And now follow the spine up from the base of the spine at the tailbone to the middle of the spine, following the spine, and continue all the way up to the back of the head, as though you could trace your spine in your imagination. Continue to trace this line of your spine in your image to come around the back of the head and eventually the middle of the top of the head and back to the space between your eyebrows. And now make a small movement of nodding slightly where the chin goes away from the chest and closer to the chest on the floor. You'll feel the back of your head slide as the chin goes away from the chest and closer to the chest as you make a nodding motion. Continue to do that with your head. And just start to feel how the spine responds as you do this motion on the ground of taking the chin away from the chest and toward the chest. How is the spine responding, or is it? What do you notice? And pause that with the head for a moment. And just begin to open your jaw. However you open the jaw is fine. Just allow the lower jaw to come away from the upper jaw and close again. And as you do that movement, feel what happens in your spine as you open the jaw. Notice if you feel any sensations related to opening the jaw in your spine. Pause that for a moment, rest. And now begin to use your tongue, the tip of your tongue, to touch the middle of your upper lip. And then start to see if you can use your tongue to expose the fleshy part underneath of the middle of the upper lip. Using your tongue almost to push the middle of your upper lip out, as though you could get the fleshy part underneath to go out. Play with that movement for a moment. It's as though you're curling the upper lip upward, using your tongue. And so you use the tongue or you follow the movement with the tongue. And continue to notice that. And then do the same on the bottom lip, right in the middle. Trying to expose the fleshy part of the bottom lip. Imagining that the tongue can either follow this movement or pushes the lip in such a way that the inner part starts to almost come out. As though you could curl the bottom lip downward. And now come to the right side, between the middle and right side of the top lip, and do the same thing. Same thing, you're pushing the fleshy part outward. Middle of the top upper lip. Using your tongue to see if you can push that fleshy part even more outward. To curl it upward. And then go to the left side of the middle of the upper lip and do the same thing. Trying to push the fleshy part outward. Feel the sensation of the tongue touching the inner lip to the outside of the lip. And then bring your tongue to the space between the middle and bottom of the bottom lip and try to push the fleshy part out there, halfway between the middle and side and corner of the mouth on the right at the bottom. Trying to push the fleshy part of your lip out there. And just feeling the movement of the tongue. And then the bottom of the left lip in between the middle and the side. Continue to push the bottom lip between the middle and the corner out. Imagining that fleshy part could help to curl the lip downward. And now let's go all the way to the corner of the mouth on the right side and the upper side. So we got the right corner and we're working on the upper right corner. Trying to push the fleshy part out as though you could curl that part of your lip. And then do the right side on the bottom, as though you could push the fleshy part out. And pause and just notice the difference between the right corner and the left corner of the mouth. And then do the same thing on the left corner of the mouth on the upper part. The upper part of the left corner of the mouth, you're pushing that out now with your tongue, the fleshy part, as though you could curl the upper lip. And now the bottom part of the left corner, trying to push the fleshy part out. And when you're ready, pause and just take a moment to feel the space in your mouth, as well as your lips. Notice if you feel any more width or space around your mouth or inside of your mouth. And now the next time you exhale, and each time you exhale, stick your tongue out and open your jaw. And as you inhale, bring it back in. Every time you exhale, stick out your tongue and open your jaw. Using the exhale to stick out the tongue and open the jaw. Should be an easy movement. Now do the same thing, but have your tongue go a little bit to the right, exhaling. Have the tongue come out towards the right as you exhale and open the jaw. Only on the exhalation. On the inhale, return to normal. And now the left side, have the tongue go towards the left as you exhale, opening the jaw at the same time. As you exhale, the tongue goes out, you open the jaw. As you inhale, you return to normal or to having the jaw closed. And notice if it goes in a different direction than it did on the right, if it's lower or higher. And then pause that and release all of that. And now come back to the space between your eyebrows, the tip of the nose, the middle of the chin, the middle of the clavicles or the clavicular notch, the middle of your sternum, the middle of your stomach, the genitals, the place between the genitals and the sacrum, flowing up your spine, all the way up, going around the back of the head, top of the head, and back between the eyebrows. And now go ahead and roll onto your stomach. So come all the way onto your stomach. And once you arrive on your stomach, hey sweetheart, we're gonna take the feet towards the ceiling. You can have the head in any position, but the feet will be towards the ceiling as though they're parallel. And we're just gonna make a movement of taking the right heel toward the midline and back. So the right heel goes toward the midline and it comes back, and it can be a very small movement. And again, you're resting with the head down, either on the forehead or to the side. And you're taking the right heel to the middle. Oh, no, yep. Right heel towards your midline. And the midline is that line that divides you in the center, the one we just went over in the scan. So see if you can have the heel direct towards the midline. And pause that, compare the 2 feet, and then have the left heel direct toward the midline. So it just comes a little bit closer to your midline. However you do this movement, feel where it begins. The heel is the direction, the midline is the direction, the heel is going in that direction. Where does it initiate? And is it different on the right and the left? You're just taking your left heel toward your midline and back. When you're ready, pause that, bring your feet down and rest. Just notice your contact for a moment. Bring your feet back up, and now we're going to take the right toes toward the midline. So now the right toes direct towards your midline and come back. And you're breathing and resting your head, only looking up if you're confused about the midline. But see if you can just do this on your own, bringing your toes toward the midline. If we have an image of someone else, it's a lot harder for us to sense and feel. So for some of these felt lessons, just notice what you do. And look if you need to, anytime. And then left toes toward the midline. And just notice how the process is, if it's different than it was on the right. And you may not even know where your left toes are going, but just see if you can feel the midline. Go slow enough to feel that direction. And then pause and rest your feet for a moment. Once more, bring the feet up toward the ceiling. This time you're going to do the same thing with the right toes toward the midline, but as you do, you're going to look. So go ahead and come up onto your elbows, or however you want to come up to look around to your right foot. So you're going to be looking around, but try not to lift the body. As you do this, as you're looking, push your pubic bone into the floor. So pubic bone is glued to the floor and is even pressing. And then look at your toes as they go toward the midline. Continue to press your pubic bone into the floor. As you do this, that's an important part of the movement. The pubic bone presses into the floor. You're looking at your foot as it goes toward your midline. And then try the other toes, the left toes. Press that pubic bone into the floor as you bring your left toes toward your midline. And just notice the difference with the left toes. Make sure you're looking at your foot. And then press that pubic bone even more. And make sure you're doing both, looking at your foot and pressing the pubic bone. And then pause that for a moment to bring the feet down and rest on your belly. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, but have your feet together. So try pressing it when you take the right toes to the midline. Just feel where that takes your left foot. It starts to move it. Try that a couple of times. Right toes toward the midline. Your feet are moving together. As the right toes go toward the midline, they might press into the left. Everything is glued together. And now try the left toes toward the midline. And now we're going to do the same thing with the right toes, but as you look at your right toes, you're going to stick out your tongue and look to your right as the right toes go toward the midline. And then stick out your tongue and look to the left as your left toes go toward the midline. Stick out your tongue and look to your right as your right toes go toward the midline. And then stick out your tongue and look to your left as the toes go toward the midline. Now make sure you're pressing the pubic bone. So press the pubic bone as you turn to look, sticking out your tongue as the toes go toward the midline. Pressing into the pubic bone as you turn and look, as the toes go toward the midline, as you breathe. Check on your breathing. Continue to go back and forth, looking, sticking out your tongue in the direction that you're looking, and moving your toes at the same time. And then pause that and rest your feet and stay on your belly. And once again, bring your legs up. This time they're separated. Press your pubic bone into the ground. This time as you take your right heel in, you're going to take your head and tongue to look over to your right as the heel goes in, and then going to the left, taking the left heel in as you take the eyes and tongue as you breathe. Now, if you're getting some gurgles and stuff in your tummy, that's actually a really good sign of things moving. This is a great lesson for digestion, for metabolism, for many, many things involving our digestion and the alimentary system. Go ahead and look, tongue and eyes as you bring the heel toward the midline. This is also something we did as babies. So we're bringing back this memory of remembering how to do something that's going to help us with every other thing that involves coordination and life. So press your pubic bone too. Don't forget the pubic bone is pressing as you turn to look, as your tongue turns to look with you, as the heel goes to the midline. It's a lot to remember. Just see if you can do it easily and slowly. Don't forget to press your pubic bone into the floor. Come to rest for just a moment. Once more, bring your feet toward the ceiling. We're going to do the same thing, but with the toes and the feet spread apart. So as the right toes come toward the midline, you turn and look and stick out your tongue. As the left toes come toward the midline, you turn and look and stick out your tongue as you press the pubic bone into the floor. Now this might mean that your legs are a little further apart than usual because you really want to make sure the pubic bone is pressing all the way across as you turn and look as you come in with the toes. Turning to the same side as the toes are going toward the midline, pressing your pubic bone, sticking out your tongue and looking. Sensing and feeling this interesting coordination. Noticing how you breathe. And coming to rest on your belly. And notice your contact and how you rest. Bring the legs back up. Have some space between the feet. We're going to turn to our right with the tongue and eyes as we touch the heels together. Come back, take the heels apart, turn to the left as you touch the heels together with your tongue and eyes. Press into the pubic bone. And just continue that. Each time you turn, the heels come together. You stick out the tongue and look. And separate the feet as you come back toward the middle. Each time you turn to the side, the heels come back together. The pubic bone is pressing against the floor as you stick out your tongue and look. Just noticing the coordination of this. Each time you're turning, the heels are coming together. Pressing the pubic bone too. And breathing. And it's okay if you lose the coordination. This is just for you to experience and feel. Your nervous system will remember this process to help you make everything easier in your life. Pause and bring the legs down and just rest on your belly. We're going to do one more movement on the belly. I just want to talk about how important it is for us to have tummy time. Being on our belly as an adult is a really important part of balancing the front and back of the body so that we're not leaning too far forward or too far back. So we all need tummy time. So feel free to join me for more stomach lessons. That's one way to have some fun on your belly. When you're ready, bring your feet back up. And let's bring now the toes together as you turn and look to one side, pubic bone toward the floor. Stick out the tongue. Take the eyes, toes apart. And then do the other side. Feel the pubic bone pressing into the floor as you do this. Each time you come back, the toes go apart, and then as you turn to your side, they come together. Pubic bone presses into the floor so it can support you. And just continue to feel this movement. And then let that go and roll all the way to your back. One thing this lesson does is get the head to be right over balanced over the femurs. So for now, just rest on your back, but that's one thing I'll remind you to look forward when you come up. Resting on your back once again, feel the space in the middle at the eyebrows, the middle of the tip of your nose, the middle of your chin, the middle of the clavicles or the clavicular notch, the middle of your sternum, the middle of the stomach, the genitals, the space between the genitals and the sacrum. Flow up the spine, noticing the vertebra and the shape all the way around the top of your head, forehead, and to the spot in the middle of the eyebrows. And slowly roll to your side and come up to seated in your own timing. And just notice how supported you feel in a seated position before you grab your water. And once again, take a sip of water. And just notice how it feels compared to before. Can you feel it in your stomach? And is there more room in your throat, in your mouth, and possibly everywhere? Take this lesson into your day as you continue to enjoy the sensations that linger and the ease that comes with doing these lessons. Thank you so much for joining me for one of the best lessons